Vážené dámy, vážení pánové, dear gentlemen, ladies, colleagues, it's my pleasure to be here. I am really very honored to be the first speaker here. That's the question if my speech will be really key, but we will see. At the very beginning, I would like really express my thanks to Pavel, who invited me here, and I hope that, of course, there was a question if I should speak in Czech or English, so I think it would be better to speak in English because of the audience. But if I'm going to be not understandable to you, please, you can interrupt my presentation. Just say me, I don't understand something, and I will try to explain or do it better. What I'm going to speak is the problem of foreigners and their perception in Czech narrative sources, but again, after the excellent speech of Jiří Hanuš, I think there is no more space for something like theoretical background, but still, I would like to jump direct into the source or sources, and I would like to start with one example from the Chronicle of Bohemians, written by Cosmas of Prague. I think that's this treaty, this chronicle is very well known, and also this example is one of quite famous, especially for Czech historians. It brings us to the year 1067. The Bishop of Prague, Šebíř, died, and it is necessary to elect a new bishop. And the Duke, Vratislav II, called together all members regarding Cosmas. We are still in Cosmas' word, in Cosmas' chronicle, so we are still in literature, to be honest. So regarding Cosmas, Vratislav called together the members of so-called Czech elites. I don't want to discuss here if they were noble or if they were beneficiaries or something like that. That's other topic. And he tried to force them to elect his chaplain Lanz. And there was a guy, very well known regarding Cosmas in that time, the man of true speech. His name was Skojata, and he said to Otto, who was brother of the Duke, this speech, you can read it there, and this speech was against this election, against Lanz, and of course he mentioned that there were some old oaths made by Bohemians to the father of Vratislav Břetislav that it should be Jaromír, the fifth son of Vratislav II, who should be a bishop. And if you see or if you read it, if you read why the chaplain Lanz is not the one who should be a bishop, if you read argumentation, you can see that there is nothing about his education, nothing about his personal capacities or his virtues, but there is said he is a foreigner. He is not one of us. He is not our own. So, to be foreigner in the Cosmas word, in this case, decided for not to vote for lands. Of course, the political situation was much more complex, but speaking about narrative sources like prince of mentality, metaphorically speaking, you can see how much Cosmas put it in it, how he wanted to persuade his audience, and what he used. And he used these arguments. So, of course, it was the Chronicle of Czechs, and Cosmas was one of the member of, let's say, Prague Church. So, not to be us, or not to be one of our own, for him, meant be foreigner, and foreigner, in this case, German. Yeah? Cosmas has this, or had this relation to German or German-speaking people. It was something which is quite normal in his chronicle. Not only Germans, also Hungarians or Poles. All the foreigners, the guys who are not from, and from where? And that's the question. Who are we in this example? Who should it be? So I'm going to explain it later a little bit. So all the another were not able to, for example, in this case, got this very important, as he wrote, Holy Throne, and we prefer to have instead of lands the tile of a dog or the dung of an ass placed on that holy throne. That's something or how Cosmas wanted to stress impropriety of these chaplain lands. We all know that it was successful. We don't know if Koyata really said it. I think he didn't, but still, lands didn't get the bishopric. There was also not only Cosmas Chronicle, which I analyzed regarding to this topic. Just for short, of course, we have so-called first continuators. We have or successors of Cosmas. We have second successors, and then in the 14th century, in the first half, the Chronicle of Dalimil and Chronica Aule Regie. So this is, let's say, if Pavel was speaking about sources. So these are the sources. I will give you only some of examples, not all, which you could find in it. But so that was my, let's say, material background. And now I try it. Okay. So, and I think that these examples, I mean, example of lens of Cosmas is a very nice example, educative example, how in the medieval period was the foreigner or the picture of foreigner shared, and with which categories was the foreigner or other somehow put it together. So it was shown in research not only made by Klassen. We can speak about much more other authors, but again, these could be seen as let's say overview treatise edited by Klassen. So the foreigner was someone of strange, or could be someone of strange, strange physical, someone of physical deformity, another culture, another religion. This all was connected in the narrative sources with the term foreigner or other. So something strange, something from other physical space, another language, which is also very, very important, another religion, from another culture, and then we can see other characterization, which, as you can see, are in fact negative. This is like something which is negative. And the positive for us is that we are not this. Yeah? So this denomination, or this, let's say, what meant to be us was we are not these. And in that way, foreigner or other, and this or its place in mindset of medieval authors played the role of one category which could be called like a key phenomenon for creating the collective identity. Foreigner is, of course, the English word, so we can saw in the sources which were written in Latin much more words which were used. We can say that aliena is the Latin word for foreign. Alienus means strange, foreign, others, somebody else. Another, exoticus is exotic, but it was also used as a foreign. Peregrinus in Latin is or was a Latin term, or was used as a Latin term that means foreign, alien, but also exotic, outlandish, peregrinate, strange. Hospes could be guest, host, but also stranger and foreigner. So we can see that this use of these terms, or these terms, better to speak, were used in much, much broader context than we use them now. Yeah? And for medieval people, the foreigner was, on one hand, a target of curiosity, but on the second hand, the target of fear. Yeah. So, and from this fear, or not from, but this fear was one of the, as I already told, one of the, let's say, cornerstones phenomenon of for creating of collective identity. Of course, if we or I was asked who or what meant to be us, we have also quite a long tradition of research dealing with this issue, with the issue of the collective identity. This tradition spoke about language, shared customs, origogentis, sharing the law or loyalty to the dynasty, territory, which could be tricky in some cases, shared memory, and these all are like cornerstones creating the collective identity. But as Klassen mentioned, the self does not reach an understanding of itself without the clean demarcation to the other, and also through an integrate interaction with the other. Without the foreign, there would be no familiar, and vice versa, as the confrontation of the self with the non-self constitutes identity by way of negotiation and interaction, and so on and so on. So the reflection of the other or foreigner was, and I think still is, it's something which is not only an issue for medieval, let's say, medieval history. We can see that most of these cornerstones, they still served also in these days and are used in political practice, are used in propaganda, are used in ideologies. So that's something which is, let's say, we can find it on a level of like cultural or anthropological basement of human being as such. So if we go back to the sources, we can see that Cosmas really had problems, let's say, with the alliance, with the foreigners. We can demonstrate it on many examples. This is one of my, which I love, and this is the heroic story of kidnapping. Imagine it. Kidnapping, it's not a good thing, I think. Yeah, it's something which is really not good. But Břetislav I was Cosmas' hero. He was something like Achilles, or he was described as Achilles. So if Břetislav decided to kidnap Jitka or Judith of Schweinfurt, so his decision was made in the clear, let's say, way of thinking. Yeah? And why he decided to kidnap her instead to negotiation with his father? Because he, Břetislav, that means Cosmas, because we definitely don't know that Břetislav said it or that Břetislav had it in his mind. It was Cosmas who wrote it at the beginning of the 12th century. So why? Because he began to consider in his heart whether he should try to kidnap her by force or to court her with gifts. But for he considered the innate consent of the Germans and how with swollen pride, so Germans' pride, always despises the Slavs and their language. So that was one, and this is in fact the only one reason why he, at the end of the day, came to the idea to kidnap her, because it's better than to argue with Germans, which are full of pride and envy and so on and so on. So this is one of a quite nice example, I think. We can see also the second example from the times of Spitihnev II. He ruled quite not long. Yeah? He was duke from 1055. And if Cosmas should mention something which has to be mentioned, which has to be memorized, he stressed this story from the beginning of Sobieslav's rule, when he called out all the Germans from the country, regarding Cosmas, of course. Still, we don't know if it really happened, but regarding Cosmas' story, he did it. And that was something what should be memorized, what is to remember. On the very first day he was enthroned, he did such a great and wonderful thing that he was to be his memorial to be remembered for all centuries. And the thing is, he ordered all those that were to be found of German stock, either rich or poor or traveler, no matter, at once to be turned out along her of the land of Bohemia within 3 days. So again, you can see how Cosmas worked with the issue, let's say, of foreign, in this concrete example connected with the German. And we can see also the third example, this the very end of 11th century, and this is dialogue discussion between Břetislav II and Wyprecht of Groich. And it is also a discussion about who should be the next bishop of Prague. And Wyprecht of Groich, he started to speak very, very nice about the chaplain Herman, who was the chaplain of Břetislav II. And you can, I will not read it all, you can read it by your own. And he tried to say something nice about him, but at the end, if only his being a foreigner is not against him. So again, to be foreigner meant not to be able to become a bishop of Prague. And in that moment, Břetislav II in that time, who was also hero in Cosmas. Břetislav I, great. Vratislav II, wrong. Břetislav II, great man. Really good guy. Yeah. Died too early. Yeah. But he answered to the Wyprecht that he is a foreigner will benefit the church more, as his family will not exhaust him, no concern for children will burden him, no crowd of relatives will impoverish him, so whatever comes to him will all go to his bride, Mother Church. What is interesting on it, that's not the shift in Cosmas' mind, but in this sentence we can see who are we in Cosmas. We in Cosmas are the Czech clergyman, because he is a foreigner with no, let's say, family in Bohemia, but the Czech clergymen are these who has the families which will exhaust the clergyman, if you understand. So this is the negative description of what was normal. Normal was that if someone was a clergyman, he has a family and this family exhausted him. He had to concern for children. He had to take care of them. He had to. He was crowned by relatives, and so we can. It's not, of course, in the Cosmas case, but or in Cosmas Chronicle. But we have quite a lot of other sources that we can see that there were these priest families. In 12th, 11th, 12th, 13th centuries. It was like, it was like living strategy to become a clergy. So if we are speaking who are the Bohemians in Cosmas Chronicle and who are we, or these who are our own, so these are, this is, we can speak about elite, but not only about knights, warriors, nobles, but all above, we are talking about the clergy. The church elites, as intellectual elites, were instrumental in reviving and spreading the idea of collective identity through their works, and Cosmas was one member of this group. So sources clearly show that this group had been forming in Bohemia since the end of 11th century, and its members included the chronicle Cosmas, the bishop, for example, Daniel I of Prague, the bishop of Olomouc, Jindřichsdík, and others. So if Cosmas was speaking against foreigners, he thought about us, we, as this group. In the 12th and from 12th to 14th century, there we can see quite a big transformation process of Czech lands. And this transformation process brought to the social situation, let's say, new players. These are just like sketch of the phenomenon which is connected or was connected, or phenomena which were connected to this transformation. But we can see that because of colonization, because of development of medieval towns and so on, because of process of silver mining, there we can see a very strong wave of incomers, not only German-speaking, but foreigners in Czech lands. And what Cosmas was dealing with on the level of the antagonism against the German church, let's say, in the 13th century was, let's say, quite normal in all stratas of society. So the development of the new multi-ethnic society in Bohemia was started by this transformation, and this process, let's say, never stopped. And then we can see in the sources at the end of the 13th century and at the beginning of 14th century that mostly Germans are or were described as the foreigners, which are the enemies of Czechs. But the Czechs in these cases, it doesn't mean Bohemians. It doesn't mean only the clergy or this intellectual group, as at the beginning of 12th century, but it was spreading into the all society and all stratas of society. This is one of example of the second continuation of so-called second continuation of Cosmas. This work or this source is very, very complicated, but we can say that it was like compilation made by some clergymen in the chapter of Prague at the end of 13th century, and we can see that not only in this description, but in many more descriptions, if he somehow picked it or put it, because we don't know what he wrote and what he just picked from the tradition, but we can see if he was speaking about foreigners, mainly Germans, and all of them were ugly. Not good people. So, of course, we are here in the times when the Czech nobility created, let's say, a group which took the fate of the state on in her arms after the death of Přemysl II, and then after the death of Wenzel the third. And the most exaltation of these we can of course find in chronicle of so-called Dalimil, which is full of these judgments against foreigners, mainly Germans. Of course, also Poles or Hungarians were not welcomed, let's say it in that way, but the Germans were the enemies number one. And so we, if I should give you, let's say, all of the examples, we can just read Dalimil, but I choose this one. And this is his characteristic of Duke Soběslav II. Dalimil wrote his chronicle in the first or second decennium of 14th century. It was in the situation in Bohemian lands when the new dynasty was installed, Luxemburger, but still there was a strong group of Czech noblemen and they were in the process of creating of their collective mentality or their collective identity, better to say. So, and in that moment, we can see that for them it was very, very important somehow to deal with the enemies. It's not enemies, with the foreigners, yeah? And with this issue. And Dalimil, as a spokesman of this group, as you can see, stood in a very, very strong, aggressive, or made a very, very strong, aggressive statements against all foreigners, especially Germans. So Soběslav was described here as a very, very good duke because he did to Germans everything you can read here. Yeah? When someone brought the prince the 100 German noses, he gave him 100 marks, and so on, and so on, and so on. Of course, we can see that all these has also some practical side. We are in the time when the Czech nobility and the patricians, the high-leveled town men from Prague and Kutná Hora, were in struggles, and we can also see that money were talking here quite a lot because a lot of members of Czech nobles owned something to these patricians, which of course brought the conflict situation in their relationship. So the antagonism against the German-speaking has also not only like ideological reason, but it was based on practical, political, economical life in the country. On the other hand, because we can of course say that all what Dalimil wrote was nothing but a poetry, that he wanted to create the picture of foreigner German as someone who is enemy. So we can say that we can use another source, which is Chronica Regie, which was written by Petr of Žitau, who was German, and he, in his chronicle, this nationalism, let's say, nationalism moment was not so strong, and who also could find something good on Germans. For example, in this case, when he described nobles from Germany who came with John of Luxembourg into the Bohemia, which were men of excellent wisdom and power. And the lords of Kingdom of Bohemia were, in his chronicle, these who are, let's say, not very friendly, because they feared of their own properties, of their own money, and their own place in society, let's say. But still, if we read the Chronica Aule Regiae deeply, we can see these reflections of Peter, like, for example, here in this citation, when he had a statement about the nations living aside, and he described that in that way that still doesn't matter if they are living together for a long times in peace. There is still conflict in it, and if the social ties or social cohesion is interrupted, in that time, these nations, they thought nothing but war against themselves. So, yes, he didn't describe, in this case, Germans like enemies of the nation, but in his thinking, we can see it, that in his thinking, the enemies or the nations could change to be enemies. Doesn't matter how long they live together in one moment, such like that, which is, of course, something what he saw in his life. So, from my perspective, if I should conclude it somehow, all these examples only illustrate the conclusions already reached by previous research. We can say that at the beginning of 14th century, the Bohemians represented a group whose definition included language, territory, legal affiliation, collective memory based on shared past, but also the reflection on foreign or other. It was this reflection of foreign or other, together with all these phenomena, what created a shared sense of belonging, of a membership of a group denoted by the pronoun we. As such, the reflection of the foreigner was one of the fundamental roots of the so-called medieval nationalism that emerged in 14th century and later in 15th century. Thank you for your attention.